team call. Excellent. Welcome to the team call. I am really excited tonight to introduce Melody. So I did actually record Melody at Leadership. It was the one speech I recorded. I only recorded one, and it was Melody's. And it's really did stand out to me. I put in the advertisement for the call. It was the standout presentation for me. It was incredible, and so many people said the same as well. It's a very strong presentation, one that I think we all need to hear as well, one that everybody can relate to, and one that make a big impact on the success of our business if we kind of apply the things that Melody's teaching us. So you put everyone on mute, please, Nate.
Yep.
I'm gonna make sure I'm not muted. Yeah, so I had already booked Melody to come on this call even before I heard her presentation, and I just went up to her afterwards, didn't I, Melody, and went, just do that. That would be incredible. So I haven't shared the recording because I think it's much more powerful to get it from Melody herself. You will see as soon as Melody starts speaking, she's a very powerful woman, and she's achieved a lot in her life. So she has 2 boys. She's a presidential diamond in Hungary. They're founders.
You've been muted.
Yeah, thank you. Her husband joined 6 years ago, and Melody joined 3 years ago. It's just after COVID. Melody was the CEO of an international events company that did hundreds of events a week around Europe. She had over 300 people working for her, and she speaks 4 languages. Incredible. She's done 4 university degrees and masters. She's lived in over 12 countries and traveled to over 40. And if we suddenly have an electricity short go down in Tenerife, she'll look like Angelina Jolie, right? If it's dark.
In the dark. In the dark, I look just like her. That was a private message to you. I didn't think that you would actually say that. That's so funny. Oh, that's funny.
Had a bit of personal humor in these things. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I mean, gosh, look at the credentials. Melody has come into doTERRA. She's not a stranger to hard work and commitment and success, and she's been very successful in doTERRA, and what she's going to share tonight is very impactful. So I invite you to all really listen, take notes, and at the end I'll have a few moments to ask Melody a few more questions as well. So let's go over to Melody, and thank you so much for coming on, Melody.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. I have been owing you one, and it's really good to finally be able to be with you guys. And I do hope that you will therefore also be coming to Hungary soon, because everybody really wants to hear you guys speak as well. So we're going to really look forward to it. All right, well, let's get started. Bex asked me to give you guys a little bit of the speech that I did in Berlin. So I'm going to give you guys that. And then afterwards, I hope that we get to talk about some other topics as well. But actually, I do have a very important message for you today, and it is one that has taken me decades to learn. And it's not going to be something, that I've learned in a book somewhere and now I want to teach you, but it's actually been molded by years and years of the struggles that I've gone through. And some of these struggles have been times when I've just been like, what is going on? What is this that I'm facing? And why am I having to go through this? And so I called this message The Necessity of a Giant, because what I want to talk to you guys about is what I believe separates successful people from non-successful people. And this message was actually inspired out here in Tenerife as I was sitting on the balcony one day, and I was talking to somebody and they asked me the question. And as I was telling her about my life story and some of the challenges that I was going through, she asked me, why do you think it is that you've had to go through so much pain? And I was telling her about how I had often lived with many families as I was growing up. I went to different schools. I went to a different school actually every year, and many times in a different country. And so those words that we all know as hello and goodbye, that for most people are this really wonderful greeting. For me, those two words for many, many years were actually two of the hardest words to say. And then at the age of 15, I moved out to get some stability in my life. And then at the age of 21, my brother died. 3 months after that, my cousin died. 3 months after that, my grandfather died. And thankfully, after that, during childbirth, I died. My son's heart stopped as well. So they had to bring us both back. And then after my second childbirth, the doctor told me that actually I probably shouldn't have any more kids after that. And then during business, we would build a lot of companies. We did some other network marketing companies beforehand, and we just constantly watched them fail. And so we were riding this money roller coaster, up, down, up, down. Now we have money, now we don't have money. I don't know if you guys have ever been on any of that money roller coaster. But what I would say, some of the most painful things that we've ever had to go through were probably from relationships, because when you're a leader and you're leading people, as long as you're doing what they want you to do, as long as you're doing it the way they want you to do it, then everybody thinks that you're a great leader. But the second that you kind of want to do things a little bit different, people will turn on you, and they will start saying all these things about you that aren't really true. And so when she asked me, why do you think you have to go through so much pain? And I'm sure that a lot of you guys have had to go through a lot of pain too. So what I want to talk to you about is from this journey that I went through, where I've really needed to make sense of what is this that I'm going through. And it just really didn't make sense. It wasn't logical. And so I needed to understand what was happening and why. And you see, when you do what we do, when you want to be a leader and when you want to impact people, then you have to make sure that that stuff doesn't get on the inside of you, because there's nothing worse than these bitter leaders that, because of the pain that they have, they then spray that poison all out onto everybody. And I didn't want to be that person. So I believe that what separates people that succeed not only in doTERRA, but also in life in general, versus those who don't, is really two things. One, how do they respond to failure? And two, can they manage disappointment? Because if you don't learn how to respond to your failures, and if you don't learn how to manage disappointments, then you're going to have a very, very difficult time being successful. Because it was never my victories that brought me to any of the defining moments in my life. It was always my failures. And it was actually usually the decisions that I made at the lowest point in my life that were what really decided where the next 5 years of my life is going. And so what I've learned is that what I do in the midst of my victory doesn't define my future, but what I do in the midst of my failure does. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I know that some of you might be in a very defining moment in your life right now. And maybe it's in your business, maybe it's in your relationships, maybe in your marriage, maybe you're stuck in this business and you thought that you should be diamond by now, and you're licking your wounds and you don't know why are you in this battle. And I really want to tell you guys something. It's the most important time that you're in right now, because the decisions that you make when you're down, these are the ones that will impact the next 3 to 5 years of your life. And so I can't really see you guys all right now. So I can ask you, how many of you are going through some struggles right now. But I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of you here that have been going through some battles, and you have been going through some struggles. And those of you who aren't right now, you probably will in the future. Because the fact is that sooner or later, everybody's going to be fighting something. And you've got to understand that these battles, they're not something to be afraid of, because they're necessary, or there's no movement in your life. So maybe you're like me and you're trying to make sense of it, and it's depleting you, and it's draining your energy out, and it's distracting you, and it's painful. And maybe you actually feel like you would rather run from it right now and rather not deal with it right now. So if I can help you in these next few minutes to make sense of it, then hopefully I can help you understand why it's necessary to go through them. So the first and the most important thing is only fight battles where there are spoils. Don't fight battles where there's nothing to win. See, you're going to have to decide which battles you're going to fight, or you're going to spend 24 hours a day fighting. All of us moms know what it's like to fight for 24 hours a day. We really have to choose our battle. But there's another battle where I see a lot of people fighting that makes no sense to me, and that is on social media. See, I don't see why people spend so much time fighting on social media in the comments over the stupidest stuff. There's nothing there to win, because winning just to be right isn't really winning. And if arguing in the comments about, you said this and she said that, that doesn't make any sense to me. And we have to understand that there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people that don't like what you have to say. So imagine if Jesus had TikTok or Instagram today, what those comments for him would look like. He would feed the 5,000 and with bread and fish, and people will be like, well, I'm gluten-free and I'm this free and I don't eat fish and I don't eat this, and people have something to say about that as well. So it probably has nothing to do with what you're doing. It's just people that are always going to be people and have something to say. So don't let their comments frustrate you. In fact, if you don't have enough haters, you're probably just not doing enough yet. So I've actually started this club inside of me where I collect these haters, I collect these negative comments, and it just kind of shows me that, okay, the more I have of them, the better I'm doing. And number two, life has doors. And every season of your life is going to have a door to the next level. So before you can expand and grow and step up a level, there's some door that you're going to need to open. And some doors you're just going to have to push open really hard. They're just going to take a lot of energy. And for those doors, you don't need more dreams. You don't need more goals. You don't need more motivation, inspiration, whateveration. You just need to do the work. There's just going to be phone calls that you're going to have to make, meetings that you're going to have to do in order to get that next door to open. But there will be some doors where there will be a giant and an adversary that is trying to stop you from entering, because doors and giants, they go together. So you need to see that whenever there is a new battle springing up in your life, it's a sign to you that everything from your previous season is used up and your next season is right in front of that door. But after your previous season and before your next season, there's something there that is trying to stop you. And I want to announce to you that your next level, it's actually designed in a way to keep you out from it. So there's going to be some battle that you're going to need to fight. And if you ignore that giant, then you're not going to open that door. So there's really no point in running from it. I don't know how many of you have heard of the story of David and Goliath. Goliath was the giant, but if David hadn't defeated Goliath, then none of us would have ever heard that story. And here's the thing. If you don't defeat your giant, then we're not going to hear your story. And these giants, they can come in many different forms. So let me give you an example of a giant. When people are talking bad about you and they're discouraging you and they're lying about you and they're saying all kind of things about you. If I can be real with you, I've been in this long enough, and I know that you're going to be teaching your team. You're going to coach your team. You're going to make changes, and then you're going to show them a new way of doing things. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to doubt you. They're going to know better, and they won't follow you, and they're going to talk behind your back for no other reason than you were trying to do the right thing. Have any of you ever met that giant? Do we have comments in here? Okay, so I don't know if any of you guys have ever met that giant, but thank you for the raising of the hands. I love it when it gets more interactive. So how are we going to react to that? Or what about when you invest your heart and your mind and your money into people and you start changing their mindset and then they quit or they leave? Or what about when you've invited and only a few come, or your attendance in your Zoom goes down? Are you going to allow yourself to feel like a failure? And see, some people think that at this level, at Presidential Diamond, that doesn't affect us anymore. Can I be honest with you guys? It does. But one thing we're good at is we've learned to bounce back from it faster. It's not that it doesn't affect us, it's that we bounce back faster. And we've learned to not take it personally and to not let it take our peace, to let it go. And you need to know that there is something better waiting for you on the other side of that door. And you have to know why you are fighting these battles, or you're going to lose the energy and the passion to fight. And I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of people in my team where they've been previously successful. They've got jobs where they've been successful, and they're not all in this battle yet. They're not all in letting in doTERRA yet, because they're afraid of, what if I'm not as successful this time? What if I can't do this here? What if like how much effort it's going to take and you're not willing yet, or you don't know if you want to really push through? And do any of you know what I'm talking about? Like you sometimes find yourself, do I really want to give it that all in? And so I came to ask you guys today, are you ready to face that giant? Are you ready to say, enough of this, enough of just going halfway, enough of wondering what if, and what do people think? I'm actually going to knock that giant out, because this is a fight between me and my giant. And I've learned that it's not people that I'm fighting, it's my giant. It's my enemy that is trying to take away my peace and stop me from entering the next season of my life. So if I can learn to let go, and if I can learn to not take offense, and if I can learn to not listen to the negative voices, and to not let that poison get inside my heart, to just handle the disappointments well, to choose to fight the battle in me rather than the battle against people, then I can enter the next season of my life. See, because these enemies, they're necessary for the forward movement of your life. So don't run from them, because you can't open doors without battles. And here's the thing. Some of you are on the premise of the greatest days of your life, but you're staring at something right now, and you're thinking, I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if I have the energy to do this anymore. And take it from me, you've got this. You have it in you. And here's something that you guys as leaders, there's something that you're going to have to face. See, lazy people do not like hardworking people. Have you ever noticed that as long as you have time for your friends, as long as you have time for your family, and you can hang out with your friends and you're not really doing anything, then everybody's, cheering for you, and they like you and they're rooting for you to do well. But the second that you're starting to work really, really hard and focused, then they're like, well, you don't hang out anymore. Well, you don't want to be with us anymore. Well, you're always working. And they're like, oh, well, you're not a good friend anymore. And here's another one that I've learned in a very, very difficult way. Unsuccessful people do not like successful people. So there's going to be people that don't like you for no other reason than you're successful, for no other reason. And so as long as you're not doing anything big with your life, as long as, you're not getting out there and doing better, you're going to be able to get along with everybody, and everybody's going to like you. But successful people, listen, people are not going to like you. And many of you have heard that leadership is lonely, but now some of you are actually starting to feel it, that people close to you, not everybody likes you, your leaders don't agree with you, and you're like, why? I'm just trying to help them. And that hurts, right? But here's the thing, you will never be free until you can let go of the need to please people. If you're taking notes, write that down. You will never be free until you can let go of the need to please people. And see, I've learned that I can love people and I can listen to their opinion, but I've decided that their opinion is never going to be more important than me doing what I've been called to do. But it wasn't always like that. For so long, I didn't dare to speak in front of people or to pick up the microphone on a big stage because I would listen to people judge speakers. And
Yes.
they would say things like, I don't like this speaker because, she's too strong and she's too butterfly, or she cries too much on stage, or she's too much like this, or she's too much like that, or she's not a good speaker. And I was like, well, why would I want to go up there onto the stage and hear people's judgments? And then let me tell you this other story. I remember the first time I spoke in Hungarian. I was actually just learning the language there. And this was about 10 years ago, 13 years ago. I didn't speak Hungarian, and Hungarian is actually the third hardest language in the world. And I learned it really, really, really. I studied and studied for this one presentation that I had to give for 40 minutes in the world's third hardest language. And after I gave this speech, my sponsor came up and she says, isn't it great that it's easier to understand this business than it is to understand Melody's Hungarian? And I'm sure that some of you guys might be thinking right now, well, actually, maybe my sponsor's not that bad after all. But I crashed and I didn't pick up the microphone for years. And then I tried, and a few years later, I had some good times until one day I felt like, okay, this is something, that I should do more of. And not because I like this stage. Actually, I hate the stage. There's nothing that terrifies me more. I hate speaking in front of other people. But here's what I've realized. If you're not living a life where you're doing the things that you are terrified of, then you're living a small and safe life, because growth happens in the scary places. And so let me ask you, what is it that you're scared of doing? What is it that you know that you need to be doing, but you're too scared to do it right now? And so I tried again. And then this time it wasn't a sponsor. It was actually one of my closest friends and one of my leaders that said, Melody, when you say it in Hungarian, then we don't really understand it. But when your husband explains it, then we see what you really mean. And I was like, you know what? God bless you. Yeah, guys, no, I'm not a saint. That's not at all what I said. I wanted to run and quit. And so I just wanted to say, you know what? Fine, then I'm going to let my husband do what he's good at. And I'll just write the speeches because that's what I'm good at. And I'll let him say them because, that's where his talent is. But the thing is, inside, I knew that I had met my giant because I could choose to not fight. And I have really good reasons not to. Like I had tried and it didn't go well. And then I had had a heart attack previously. And so I have these massive panic attacks before I have to go on stage. So I was like, well, people will really understand if I don't want to do that. I had really, really good reasons not to. I don't know if there's anywhere in your life where maybe you have some really, really good reasons to not do what you're not doing. But listen, even if you've managed to convince yourself of all of your great reasons, your giant, your enemy's not caring about your reasoning. They're not going to stand there and going, well, thank you, Becky and Nathan, for these amazing reasons that you've now said. Now that we have this explanation, here, please enter the next season of your life. Your giant's going to stand there and be like, good, I'm really glad that you're just going to get stuck there. So if you want a sign that you're going into the right direction, here's one. Every single time that you're going to step out to do something, there's going to be somebody or something there to stop you. And so the question I always ask myself and one that I want to ask you tonight as well, is how big of a life do you want to live? Because ordinary people fight ordinary battles, but it's the extraordinary people that fight battles that determine their destiny. And in a time when I was in this massive battle and sometimes fighting self-doubt, I found strength from one of the most interesting places, because there are some battles that you can't fight by yourself, but you need people around you. And so when I needed encouragement the most, it was these people that taught me the most. And they don't actually even know. Elena, I don't know how many of you know Elena from Romania. And Elena, she's the type of person that when she fights giants, if you go toward Elena with your excuses and your self-doubt and your whatever, she's gonna crush it, light a fire underneath it, melt it, give you this new mindset, and then kick you toward your giant and be like, okay, now you need to go and fight your giant. And then there's other leadership styles, like, for example, Angyal and Oliver. I don't know if you know them. They just became presidential diamonds. And they are completely different from me in their style. They have this kind of hippie lifestyle going on. Oliver has all of these tattoos, which I actually think are really cool, but they're also vegan. And the way that they fight their giants is they throw vegan food at them. I'm just kidding. But the way that they fight their giants is that they are the most hardworking people that I have ever met. They are fearless, and they just go head on against any single giant. And then they work as hard as they can, and sometimes they'll turn back and they'll look to see, is our team following us? And then they'll encourage their team, like, come on, and by example, they will lead. And then there's Nathan, and Nathan, he doesn't even know, but during the time when I was really fighting this, it was last year, Nathan has this amazing style about him. He's just the type of guy that he will smack the stupid out of you and you feel like you've been hugged. He brings a better person out of you. And I love being about Nathan because he's constantly making you laugh and enjoy life and just be an amazing person. You raise up a level whenever you get around Nathan. That's what he brings out of you. And I love that about Nathan. And then, so you're laughing, going along the way. And then Nathan eventually will put his arm around you. And then he'll be like, okay, now stop messing around, go fight your giant. And then there's Becky. And Becky has a completely different style. And I love Becky's style. She'll put on music and then she'll just dance against the giant, and she'll exercise it out of the giant, like move until the giant finally gets so dizzy that he's like, okay, I'm out of here. And there's so many different ways of fighting these giants. And I love that about all of these different leaders. And you can see in their styles that they are all so completely different. But the one thing that they all have in common is that they are not willing to compromise their uniqueness in order to impress others. But yet they all know how to slay giants. So to you guys, Nathan and Becky, I really want to thank you just for how incredibly encouraging you've been for me. And I remember, Bex, when we became presidentials and I came off the stage and you were standing there to hug me, and I hardly knew you. And it meant so much to me. And so when you're in these battles, reach out to people who are different from you. Reach out to people who are around you, because there are so many battles where you're going to need people around you to fight with you. And so to close this part, let me say this. See, pain doesn't stop your purpose, but the wrong reaction to pain will stop it. And you can go through a difficult season and it can either paralyze you or it can propel you into your purpose. And you can go through a tough time, but if you react in the right way, you will get better rather than bitter. And so my challenge to you is that in a world where we can't avoid pain and we can't avoid disappointment and failure, will you choose to react in the right way? Will you fight battles that are worth fighting? And will you realize that these battles are not to weaken you, but to announce to you that you have an amazing victory coming your way, and that you have a great season ahead of you, and that when you thought that you were being buried, when you were surrounded by darkness, it was just you being planted like a seed in the soil, and now you're ready to sprout. And these giants and these enemies, they're necessary. So the next time you're in a battle, get excited, because it's announcing to you that there is a great victory coming, so that you can say that despite everything that came to discourage me, that came to try to get me to give up, that came to try to get me to quit, you can say, I am still here, I'm still standing, and I'm fighting. So.
Woo! I want to give you a standing elevation again.
Oh.
Standing ovation.
I hope this really helps some people here, and it even comes across over the monitor, because even as I'm saying it to you guys, I feel like I'm saying it to myself over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, as we present, some people feel like, oh my goodness, they've got it all sorted, they're just like perfect, they don't get any self-doubts anymore. And like you said, it's not true. We've just had a lot of practice. And I think the more successful you just get better at doing it and quicker at shutting them down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fantastic, Melody. I took loads of notes the first time, and I've taken loads of notes again. Yeah, I just absolutely love it. I'm just looking at some highlights now. We just kind of jumped at the end.
Melody, Melody, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Like, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing those little highlights you saw in me, first of all, and that was nice to hear, actually. Thanks for that, Melody.
And Nathan, you've had such an impact on me, so I don't know. You've got a heart. It's amazing. It's really a rare one and one of a kind. So you need to really protect that one, because it's a good one. It's a really good one.
Oh, thank you, Melody. But I also wanted to say, like, as I was getting to know you, last year and this year, how scared you were of speaking.
Yeah.
And how you are getting over that, and how every time you've spoken since, I think it's 2 or 3 times now, like a leadership or convention, 2 times now. And you're fantastic, mate. You cannot let that light be hidden. Like, you are great. So to keep doing that, it was amazing. Thank you very much, Melody.
Absolutely. We all need more Melody, so you can't cheat that anymore. So I'm so glad you are speaking more, Melody, because what you have to share is just priceless. And I will share the chat with you later. I'll send it to you, because there were just so many comments of like, this is what I need. Thank you so much. Totally agree. All these positive comments.
That was as good as like live coaching. That was like someone.
Yeah. Absolutely. He's coming. See you, Heathy. Bye. Mummy's on the call. Yeah, so I love, like you said, what I do in the midst of my failure defines me and my future. And I love that. And you mentioned that you haven't always been like this, Melody, as of course, no one has.
I'm perfect now. Yeah. I don't do anything now. Now I'm just absolutely perfect. But other than that, I went through a month of not being perfect.
1 month. Wow. That must be
yeah.
1 month. How did you, so when you said that you your mission was greater than allowing what other people think of you, so that you kind of stopped, or you didn't always used to be like that? Do you remember what that turning point was, when suddenly you didn't care about what other people thought as much as your mission?
Yeah, I think it was one of those, it's not that I don't care about what people think. I think because you're always going to care about what people think. I mean, we are relationship people. We are meant to be in relationship with people. We are meant to, you know, spend time with other people and to get to know them. And so obviously, you know, what people think does matter, especially, you know, when you want to have an impact on people, then you do need to care what people think. But there has to come a time, you know, when that balance flips. Is what they are saying, is it still more important than what I actually have to get done, what my purpose in life is? And I think for me that it's just been years and years of training myself mentally. And it's not like it was one event. It was over and over and over again, renewing my mind and training my mind and just trying to get rid of the self-doubt that I absolutely had in myself. And so if it's okay, is it okay if I speak a little bit more about my self-doubt journey?
Yes, please. That'd be amazing.
Right. Because I think that self-doubt is actually one of those things that we, especially, I can't really see everybody's faces, so I don't know how many women we have versus men, but I think especially us as women, we deal with self-doubt an incredible amount. And so I think, you know, how do we get rid of that is one of the most important questions. And if you've ever noticed, at least I looked around and I always saw, even in network marketing or in any business really, that it's always women that go to the middle level, and then the top leaders are then always men, you know, because at some point, yeah, exactly what I just saw in the comment, at some point self-doubt starts kicking in and we feel like we're these imposters. And if we can handle this self-doubt well and understand it, then I think that so many more doors would open. And so what I did is I went on this journey of really studying, where does self-doubt come from and what is it about? And eventually I realized that actually self-doubt is, and this imposter syndrome, like, I know we've come up with this great name for it now so that we can label it, but it's really nothing more than not knowing if you are capable of doing something. So if you can switch out that phrase self-doubt to, I just don't know if I can do this yet. And so really what we are saying is, do I have the ability to do this? And the thing is, we start focusing on all of these, you know, what if it doesn't work? What if no one shows up to the Zooms? What if they don't like what I'm saying? And I think I switched it and I started to ask myself the question, okay, but what if it does turn out well? You know, what if I can do this? What if, yeah, I may have to practice this a few times, but what if eventually it does happen? And then I thought, because I'm also very on the realistic side, okay, honestly, what if it doesn't? What if I do fail? But see, here's the thing is, you can't fail if you are working and if you don't stop. And this became almost a mantra that I started to say to myself all the time is, I can't lose. I can either win or I can learn. So the way I get over situations where I feel self-doubt is I start to tell myself, look, you're not supposed to be good at this yet. So you prepare and then you go do it. And actually, I spend less time preparing than what I actually do doing it, because I find that I learn far more and far faster from doing it. And then what I do is I always evaluate, okay, what should I do better? What should I do different? And this is such an important step in every meeting that I had, in every speech that I gave. Even after this one, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go, okay, what did I do? How did it go? What should I do better? And then I go again at it. And what happens is, you know, you start to think, okay, what do I need to do next time? And you evaluate, and then you go again. And I see so many people that they just wait to get prepared, and then they prepare some more, and then they learn more, and they prepare more, and they hope that as they get more prepared, that their self-doubt will go away. But it never will, because every single time that you come to a new situation, I found that it's just I immediately saw self-doubt again. And I realized, okay, look, this is just my mind asking me, how do you know you can do this? So I flipped that switch. And the thing is, the answer is you don't, until you do it over and over again. And so we need to accept that it's not a bad thing to have self-doubt. It's actually a good thing, because it always comes in a new area where your mind is just trying to gather new information, and it's gaining new information, and it's learning new skills, and that's where the growth is. But the problem is that especially women, we're not used to taking risks and failing and challenges. And it's because, I don't know if you've noticed this, I don't have daughters, but I know from me that even when you're raised, in a good family, and I was raised in a good family, but to girls, we always say like, oh, you look so pretty, and oh, you look so beautiful, and oh, you painted a lovely picture, and it's all about being cute, and everything for girls is based on beauty and based on how well we do. And if we're lucky, then maybe sometimes we hear, oh, you're clever. And sometimes I wonder, and I notice that even I do that when I speak to girls, that all I'm ever saying is, oh, you're so pretty, oh, you're so beautiful. But then I listen to, how do I talk to my boys? And here's the thing, we didn't hear when we were young what we tell our boys. And that is, yep, go climb that tree. Yeah, fall. Yes, hurt yourself. And then get up and do it again and learn from it. And you don't know how to do it? That's fine. Figure it out. It's a challenge. You've got this. Go again. That's all I'm ever telling my boys. And so boys from a young age, we're constantly telling them to get out of their comfort zone and to learn from it, while girls were telling them, look pretty, be sweet, have it all together. And then when they become adults and they have to face these challenges, we ladies were like, okay, but how do I look while I'm doing it? Okay, well, what are people going to think about me? What, I'm here, I'm impostering. They don't even know me, like, what if it's not so pretty? What if I don't do well? And we need to realize and let go that the life isn't always pretty. It's messy. And the process while you are learning to do something new, it's never impressive. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, have you ever heard a man ask for directions? See, they don't. They wing it. I remember as a kid, somebody stopped us and they asked my dad for directions, and my dad's like, yeah, just go straight, turn left, go right. And I looked at him, I'm like, Dad, that's not where it is at all. And he's like, well, they asked for directions, I gave him some. They'll say stuff that they'll never admit in a way that they're lost. You'd rather you'll sit next to your husband driving in the car, and you're driving around and around and around. They just wing it. And the thing is we would never do that. We would be like, okay, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't know, and oh my goodness, and why don't I know? And then like, I should know where that is. And so of course you have self-doubt, but the question is, are we willing to get over it and do it over and over again, knowing that we're going to screw up? And can we then just take it and reevaluate it? And we're going to have to do it again and again until we get some confidence. And so this is my advice, find where you have self-doubt, and then say, I can't do this yet, but I'm not supposed to be able to do it. But if I do it, then after a while, next time, it will be better. And I think that there's some decisions that we need to make. And this was one of the game changers for me, that I started making one-time decisions, things that I won't return to, that are non-negotiables. Like, for me, one of them is I'm not going to eat donuts. Okay, so you can tempt me as much as you want with donuts and cakes, but I've made a decision that I'm just not going to eat those. I'm not going to eat it for a week. I'm not going to eat it for a month, because then you always feel that temptation over and over again. But it's a one-time decision that I've made, that's it. I'm never eating that again. And so with self-doubt, I had to make that same decision, that I will not let self-doubt stop me. I don't need to know how I'm going to do this. I don't need to know how to do this yet, but I will figure it out. And I think that some of us, we've been so paralyzed for so many years by all the things that we are doubting about ourselves, that we've heard as a kid. It's a bit like this cup. And the thing is, like, when a cup is, my husband gave me 2 glasses of water in case I needed to. So, and the thing is, like, when you have this cup full of self-doubt, then nothing else can fit in. And so you're just going to have to look at it and see, what is it that's the truth about it, and let it go. And see, the truth is that your truth and your beliefs are not always the same. So you can believe something to be true, but that doesn't necessarily make it true. So what is it that you believe? And you have to start pouring out all of those beliefs that you've had from your childhood about yourself, and start letting them go. And I spent over, I don't know, maybe about an hour, at least an hour every single day for the last 13 years developing my mindset. Some days when I'm actually really hitting and challenging myself hard on a topic, then it will go up to about 4 hours that I spend just on that one topic of changing my mindset. Because I have still a lot of thoughts that I don't want to have anymore. So I will literally pound my brain and speak over it until I finally actually see myself acting the way that I need to act. So if I can have one advice about self-doubt, it would be that you need to become obsessed about thinking right. And then I think everything else will fall into place.
That was incredible. Yes, sorry, Meg, Melody. That was an incredible answer. Incredible, Melody, because you just turn it all into this really empowering thing again, like the giants. Self-doubt is really empowering. It's an opportunity to go, okay, what do I need to learn? Actually, I'm not good yet, and that's okay. And it's showing your mind's like trying to like show you, right, well, you need to learn some more things to be able to get good at that. Not that you're not going to be good at that. And I do think sometimes, Melody, as you were talking then, I thought a lot of people get trapped in allowing self-doubts to become their excuses and reasons for not doing something right, because it is very easy to stay in a comfort zone. And like you said, live a small life. Whereas if we really want to live a big life, that's where you want to get clear. Do I really want to live a big life? Because this is what it takes. It means getting out of your comfort zone and facing those self-doubts, like you kind of.
Absolutely. And I think we also need to learn to laugh at ourselves a lot more. Like, seriously, we take life way too seriously. That's one of the things that I learned from Nathan as well, is just laugh at yourself so much more. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all together all the time. Like, let's have some mercy on each other and some grace on each other. And let's just have laugh together, and be like, okay, that was real dumb. I do dumb stuff all the time, so much.
Yes, I agree. You were saying in the conversation we had earlier, you do like this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. Can you just explain that? Because I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah, I have this thing. It's a trick that I learned, because I do deal actually quite a bit with panics sometimes, especially in really stressful situations, or just anything actually. If I get really mad, yes, it's actually from Mel Robbins. That's correct. And she's the one who told me. She goes, she said, if you ever, need to flip your mind in the way it's thinking, or you're starting to panic, or you're starting to get scared, then you just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you switch and you go into the other direction and say, okay, what if I can do this?
Okay.
So that's helped me a lot.
I love that. This is about really catching it and replacing it. And sometimes, because we were having again in this chat today, sometimes you have to really go into something like Melody was saying as well, and you spend that time really investing in that mindset to really shift it, right? You can't just always
It's
just
not
cover it up.
something that you can take lightly. You really, I really do mean like you have to become obsessed over. It has to almost become like this thing that you're addicted to, is that all of these thoughts that you have in your mind, they need to get out and you need to refill that.
Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you, Melody. So Melody does an hour at least every day. And when I first started doing doTERRA, that was the first thing when someone said to me, do half an hour a day. I was like, well, that can go. I don't have time for that. And I have realized as well that is the most important thing I can do. So I get up now at 6. I hate mornings.
Wow.
I hate them. For me, that's huge. I know some people get out of bed at 4, but for me, 6 is a marathon. That's a massive giant right there I'm facing. And I do my hour of mindset in the morning, and it's made such a difference to my day. So I think we've got maybe, 2 minutes. So just, if you mentioned it in your actual speech, actually, but if people are stuck, Melody, what would your advice be to them if they're stuck at a rank, stuck somewhere they don't want to be? What's your bit of advice, golden nugget for them?
Okay, so I'm going to be a bit controversial here.
Right.
I think that people often talk about dreams and you need to have bigger goals, but I don't believe that you will actually rise as big as you can dream or as big as your talent can take you. I think that you will rise or fall as big as the structure or the system is that you've put in place around you. See, let me explain that. You can be an incredibly talented singer or athlete, right? But if you don't have those systems in place, if they don't have that structure in place, then they, no matter how gifted they are, and they can express all of this creativity, which is beautiful, but if they don't have the systems around them, then they're not going to have the next they're not going to be successful, because that's where systematic hard works comes in. That's where they need to have that team around them that handles the concepts, the trainings, that keeps them fit and healthy and organizes their schedule. And so I think it's the same way with us, is that I think, and I see so many people that they love the oils and we love to share them, but then we run out of builders to share them with, and we get stuck and we think like, oh, we can't get to the next level. And we look at our customers and our builders and we're wondering, why aren't they working as hard as me? And it always comes back to, what systems do you have in place? And I had to confront that massively about a year or two ago, because I would do some work and then I would turn to my team and try to motivate them to do more work. And I kept doing that over and over again. And then I finally said these magical words to myself, which was, I need new builders. And that just kind of triggered me. And that's when I knew that I really, really had to change something. So I sat down, I tore everything apart, I reevaluated everything that I'd been using. And so I spent so much time creating systems, onboarding, core ranking, expectations, training. I sat down and I created systems for myself, stuff that made me do the work that I needed to do in order to get unstuck, whether it was quarterly, monthly, daily. And these to me had to become a non-negotiable. So I had to say to myself, okay, today I have to reach out to these many people. Today I have to ask for this many referrals. This week I have this many presentations. And I had to put this amazing structure around myself to not allow myself to get out of it. And someone asked me once, they go, well, Melody, but how do you handle all of the rejections when you're doing all of these presentations? And so I was like, well, I just have a list for that. I add them to my collection, because I have this this thing where I say, this week I'm going to go and collect this many no's. So it's amazing to me, like how much easier it's become, that when I'm doing my presentation, if I'm actually purposely collecting no's to put them on my list, then I don't really feel rejection anymore. And so I created all of these systems I put my clothes out at night. I don't know if you guys have watched the Becca movie. He puts his clothes out a week in advance. That is so smart. I'm totally stealing that. But I make my bed in the first thing in the morning. I listen to the self-development. So much of these systems that I had to put around me, because I realized that if you want to be professional at something, just like any athlete, anything like that, then you're going to have these systems. So if you feel stuck, number one, become obsessed about changing your thoughts and your beliefs. And number two, create systems that support you to do the income producing activities. Those are the main two. And then there's one more, which is extremely important. And we don't have time to get into it today. But the third one is have somebody who holds you accountable. And that generally should be either a sponsor or a good upline who is your coach that is keeping you accountable to doing what you said you would do. So I would say that that's probably how I get unstuck whenever I'm stuck. It always comes back to what systems do I have, because I can't let emotions decide my life. What beliefs do I have? And then I'm just so tough on mindset and actions, because I think that we need to live lives that are worth living.
That is fantastic, Melody. Thank you. What a powerful end. I mean, the whole thing has just been incredible. And I am so, so grateful. We're both so grateful, as Nath said. You're like, Nathan's applauding you.
Aw. Where do I see these comments?
Thank you, Melody.
Comments. Thank you, thank you.
Do I?
Can you see the comments? I mean, we'll
Yes,
send...
I can. Did Matt Hall do a very similar thing? I should listen to Matt Hall.
Yeah, Matt.
I do. Matt's amazing.
He's very inspiring, Matt is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that.
I need to become more inspiring. My team always says, Melody, you're not motivational. I'm not a motivational speaker.
Huh?
I don't motivating people. I always tell people, if you want to work with me, you have to be self-motivated. That's the first thing. I don't work with people unless they are self-motivated. So I don't do motivational speaking. I try to do some inspirational, but I actually much rather go for significance. I really want to change and impact people's lives so that they start to really, really make a difference.
Well, that's inspirational in itself.
This whole talk was inspirational. Like,
The whole thing. I think you're actually quite naturally inspirational, Melody.
Thank you. Just, yeah.
But
well, you guys do me a favor and change something. That's what I want to hear. I want to know that you guys will do it different, because let's not just listen, let's do. And let's really make our life worth living and have it significant and be, oh, you guys, if only you could know how bigger lives that you could live, it would, if you would just believe it.
Oh, I'll agree to this. I'll agree to what did you say about caring what people think? You said you put it in a way
that I do care, but it can't be more important than you doing what you need to do.
Yes, I'm going to commit to that.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to commit to that. So,
well, thank you so much, Melody, for your time, for your passion, for the energy you brought on this call. You really gave a lot to us. We have felt it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's so good to see that you guys are writing in the comments what you're going to change. That definitely take a note. If everybody just tonight takes a note and says, you know, this is what I'm going to change, that would be absolutely amazing. Send it to Bex and Nathan. They need to know.
We'll spend a minute or two. Just if anyone wants to put in the comments what they're going to change, then do that. And then, yeah, it's nice to see. Yeah, thank you, Melody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, and Melody, we one thing that you inspired us on, right? You had a gala in Hungary.
Yeah.
We did our first gala at the weekend on.
Oh, really? How did it go?
It was amazing.
Great. Really good. Really good. Like, people loved it. I mean, was anyone here? Do you want to comment on how it was? It was just so I kind of underestimate the power of gala, actually, and seeing people there just really feel the energy and feel united and feel celebrated. Oh, yeah, it felt great. It was really, really good.
And we did it in Sally found you know Sally. Do you know Sally?
Sally Found Harry, isn't that a movie or something like that?
Yeah. No, Sally's the UK account manager. So but she found a place in Manchester that had a Concorde in the hangar. So we had the event under a Concorde.
No way, that is so cool.
It was cool.
It was very cool.
Noisy because all the
It was
airplanes.
noisy. It was every 5 minutes. But that was good. It was good.
It was cool.
That is so good.
It was fun, yeah.
It's really, really good. It's so good to celebrate with people. I think those are the most fun things.
Yes, exactly. Have fun, like you were saying, like it helps you to take the journey lighter, and actually, because it can get heavy, right? And then when you're all dancing together and having fun, it's like, life's fun, it's light. It's exciting, and it reminds you to enjoy every part of your life. It's all special. It's all a gift.
Yeah.
So I love that. Cool. Well, you've got loads and loads of people loving you here, Melody. So feel love from us.
Guys. I'm so glad. I'm so thankful. You know, who would ever think we'd be so thankful for COVID? But, you know, it brought us all on Zoom. Yeah. And you guys can all freeze in England while I'm enjoying life here in Tenerife.
Yeah, all right. We're losing you. We're losing. You tanned Tenerife.
No, this is me not seeing the sun. Yeah.
Oh, you've got a nice glow. Oh, one thing I didn't say is, and some of you know this, but Melody had like a really horrific accident 2 weeks before leadership.
It was 5 days before convention.
5 days before the leadership thing. And so you broke your ribs. And if anyone's done that, you will know how painful it is. And Melody, the strong person that she is, had committed to being at leadership, and she had this message to share. And she flew, and that was the most painful thing you've ever experienced, right, Melody?
It was. Okay. I'm never flying like that again. We even bought tickets, and for some reason, the first class tickets were cheaper or the business class tickets were cheaper than the normal tickets. So we flew out with business class, and we had the whole business class to ourselves. And yeah, it was the most painful flight ever. And Anesh is really enjoying it. He's like, yeah, business class. And he's having the time of my life. And I'm screaming throughout the whole flight. Poor stewardess, but.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was fun. And then everybody came to hug me, which was even better.
Yeah, I came bouncing up to you, I think, didn't I? Yeah. And you were like,
yes, you did. You knocked me.
Sorry about that.
Anesh had to act like a bodyguard, and everyone said, why is he so mean?
Yeah, so protective of Melody.
Just stand around me.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you. So we can all do hard things. That's one of my mottos. I can do hard